So in this video, we're going to be talking about Sagittarius Sun and what this planet means. And as you guys can tell, where I'm at right now, the ascendant is in Sagittarius. So how perfect is that for this video? And not only this, we started at 9:09 a.m. And I didn't plan that, but in astrology, the sign of Sagittarius is ruled by the ninth house, or it's associated with the ninth house, I should say. They're both the same kind of principles, but in this video, specifically, we're going to be talking about the sun in Sagittarius, and as well, this could also apply for ascendant in Sagittarius because this is more of a general meaning video. And later, we're going to cover what the sun means in Sagittarius through each of the individual houses. But generally speaking, what the sun shows us is it shows us how our actions tend to come across to others. So it shows an aspect of our personality, and it's similar to the ascendant in that sense, but the ascendant shows more of our identity, our appearance, our personal endeavors, what makes us who we are, whereas the sun, which rules the fifth house, is about our ego and how we want our actions to come across, and it's also how we constantly tend to act, because the sun rules Leo, which is the sign of fixed fire. Fixed means a constant state of being, and the fire element in astrology is about action or perception. So that's why the sun shows the way that we constantly act or perceive things. And that's why it rules our ego, things such as confidence. Anyways, when your sun is in the sign of Sagittarius, which is the sign that rules why we do things, and it rules what influences our actions and what guides our actions. Well, when you have the sun here, this indicates that the way that you constantly tend to act is guided, like by higher principles or by your beliefs or by some sort of wisdom that you have acquired. And the best way to explain these people is that they're just guided individuals. So how this appears to others, because that's what the sun shows, is that you appear quite confident to other people. Now, the sign of Sagittarius is the fifth sign from the fifth sign. The fifth is Leo, right? So if we count right here, we have the sign of Leo, that's 1, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5. So the sign of Sagittarius is like double fifth house energy, and what the fifth house is about, like we were saying, is about ego, confidence, and yeah, so it's also ruled by the sun. So a possibility with the sun in Sagittarius is that sometimes they can have a huge ego, but it's ironically because they know that life is not about them, and they seem to be guided by higher principles. It's almost like God, the universe, or their wisdom is using them as a medium to carry out a certain ideology or a certain message, and that's where their huge ego comes from. And again, the sun shows how we appear to others, and it's something that's not necessarily intentional from ourselves. So other people, they see you as this person that may be full of themselves, but that's if you are guided by principles that you believe are higher than just yourself, and that's just the natural effect of that. But honestly, people envy that trait. People want to feel confident, and the sign of Sagittarius rules things such as luck, blessings, or knowledge. So people with sun in Sagittarius, they can appear lucky, blessed, or like generally they just appear to know things that others don't. Like that's just how people see you. Like the way that you act kind of carries a touch of authority to it. Like people will see you as somebody that's experienced or that knows something that they don't know. Again, because Sagittarius is the sign of knowledge and wisdom, and it's important to also keep in mind that Sagittarius is right next to the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of highest authority. Normally, it should be in the 10th house up here, you know, and Sagittarius would be right here. So you guys actually have a natural, you know, slight element of authority to you guys. The only difference between Sagittarius and Capricorn is that, you know, Capricorn is when people have the answers, or they are the authority, or they have the proof in the pudding. So like they have success. They have something to show for their actions. And so people have no choice but to listen to them. You know, these people that are Capricorns may be in positions of management, or they may be business owners. They may have created Walmart, or they may have created Costco. So you have no choice but to listen to that and what they want to say. But whereas Sagittarius, you know, people see you as somebody that just is very experienced, and Sagittarius is more so the sign that has the potential to be an authority. Like people just see that you have the potential to go places, and that you know something, or you're guided by something that they don't understand. So the other thing about Sagittarius is that they are the most detached sign because they have Scorpio in the 12th house. And I was going to make a video about what Scorpio means. Scorpio is about things that we care the most about. And that's because it's fixed water. Fixed is about a constant state of being, and water is about emotions or connections. So Scorpio rules those unpleasant situations where, you know, we can't help but to care about things, or we're like attached to things, right? But Sagittarius has that sign in the 12th house. Not in this particular chart, right? But it's the 12th sign from Sagittarius. The 12th is about things that are non-existent, or things that we are detached from. So wherever Scorpio is in a chart, it will show things that people care the most about, or that will make them the most reactive. It's a very powerful sign, and it rules the desires, the psychology of others, and what their attachments are. So with Sagittarius, there's two things. Either they're not conscious of those things because they have it in the 12th house, and also there's nothing that they're really that attached to. They're actually the most detached sign. And this is important because confidence is most powerful when you're detached from your ego. And that's a topic for another video. But if we pull up the sign of Leo, right? And we look at the house of power, which is the 8th house. We go around the circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8th house shows power. So Leos, what do they have in the 8th house? They have Pisces. And that's the sign that's associated with the 12th house, okay? So bear with me here, but Pisces is about detachment. It's about changing emotions. It's about letting go of things. It's about forgiveness, right? And it's about being fluid, adaptable. And it's in the 8th house from Leo, right? And the 8th is about power. So the sign of Leo can be very stubborn. Our egos can be very stubborn. But what astrology shows us is that the ego is the most powerful when you are detached. Okay? So when you're able to brush things off or not be affected by the words or actions of others, that's when your ego is actually very extremely powerful. And how this all ties together is that what we were saying, Sagittarius is the 5th from the 5th. You get what I mean? It's like the sign of Leo times 2. So it's the sign of like strong ego or very high confidence. And it's because you guys are guided, but also because you guys are detached. You guys are the most detached sign. And that's what creates confidence. And that's why others perceive you as somebody that's very confident as well. Now, generally speaking, Sagittarius, they are goal-oriented, but they're scattered because they just have a vague idea in their mind of what it is that they want. And again, that's because the sign of Scorpio is in the house of vagueness. It's in the 12th house. The 12th house is about things that are non-tangible or that are vague or that are fluid. So Sagittarius, they just have like a general idea in their subconscious of what they want, and they just feel whatever will bring it to them. So their direction can be a little bit vague or scattered. They lack cardinality. Cardinal signs in astrology is about having a direction, and that's the main difference between Sagittarius and Capricorn. Sagittarius is just scattered, and Capricorn is very, very guided. So, anyways, with that being said, Sagittarius, they just let themselves be guided. Now, I said that you guys are generally detached, but the only thing that makes you angry is when people appear to do things that don't make sense or that challenge your beliefs, or when people are comfortable doing things that are just plain wrong or that are not ideal. And the reason why is because Sagittarius has the sign of Cancer in the 8th house. And Cancer is about people's comfort zones, and it's also about traditions and family things. So something that annoys you is when people's traditions or people's society or their culture holds them back, or like when people are raised in a way that makes them think in ways that don't make sense or that don't align with your particular beliefs. But the worst thing for a Sagittarius, the thing that will piss them off the most, is when people don't listen. The sign of Cancer is about listening to ourselves, and it's also about comfort, and it's about things that don't necessarily relate to the outside world. So a lot of times Cancer will show traits of somebody that doesn't listen. Like you'll tell them something and they'll keep doing things the same way that they were doing before. And sometimes you're trying to help them, but they won't. And so Sagittarius, they can have like a lot of conflicts with that kind of trait. They don't like when people don't listen. Now, home and comfort can be a very confusing topic for Sagittarius because they have the 4th house in Pisces. So the 4th sign from Sagittarius is Pisces. And the 4th house shows home and comfort. And Pisces shows things that are non-tangible or things that are vague. So sometimes the home life can be non-existent, or at least emotionally. So like emotionally, you don't feel attached or you don't feel at home any place. And in fact, when people start to get attached to you or get comfortable with you, it tends to actually create conflict or complications because it's just for whatever reason, it tends to just do that. Like you tend to value freedom, and you tend to be vague when it comes to connections. You don't necessarily want to be tied down to some situation. That's what the 4th house in Pisces can be about, because you're always changing what your comfort zone is. You're always changing where you live. You're always changing what you're doing. And generally speaking, you're just able to adapt yourself. So with that being said, that wraps up this video about Sagittarius, and specifically for the Sun in Sagittarius. This just shows somebody whose actions are guided by some sort of philosophy, some sort of higher principles, or just their own sort of wisdom. Like you guys are just always feel like you know what to do or where to go. But sometimes, like I said, you lack some sort of specific direction, and your direction can be vague, but nonetheless you feel guided, and you have faith. So that basically wraps up this video. Hopefully it was insightful and interesting. If you enjoyed or you saw yourself in some way, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to this channel. Other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys sometime soon in another video. Peace.